Hello, I'm Dr. Brant Gibson, and there's a phrase that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And for many years, they felt like the nerves in the brain function in that same way, that you can't change it. You can't make things that the brain basically is developed in the first several years of life, and from then on it's remains stagnant and is not progressing. But the new neuroscience of the brain and the new neuroscience of the way the nerves function, the way the nerves actually develop in the body completely changes that. Um, the idea of creating a habit is the very thought that by doing something over and over a period of 30 days, that you can actually create a feedback loop, or a loop that makes it so that habit is consistent. In the study of Alzheimer's disease, for example, they're actually finding that individuals can have Alzheimer's and not even understand, for example, how to get from their living room to the kitchen. But as soon as they're thirsty, they'll get up, walk into the kitchen, take a cup out of get a drink it, then go back to where they were, and they still can't tell you how to get to the kitchen. Why does that happen? It's because of the pathways that are created in the brain from habit that creates that feedback loop where you don't have to think it, where you subconsciously are able to function, subconsciously able to do it. Most of us drive that way, where we get to the point where portions of our driving are done subconsciously. We're not physically thinking, okay, I need to push the gas pedal down, and I need to adjust to stay in the lane, and I need to do all these kind of things. It becomes more of a subconscious type process. So the problem with peripheral neuropathy is some of these pathways are interrupted in the nerve functioning themselves, and they're sending signals incorrectly, erroneous signals to the brain that the brain is having to interpret. And a lot of times it's messing that up. They're saying, okay, you're getting severe pain, you're getting a sharp stabbing pain, you're getting electrical shocks, you're getting numbness, tingling, whatever the cause, because that loop, that process that the nerve is going through and that the brain is going through is malfunctioning. It's not working like it's supposed to. So you're interrupting that normal process that leads to interpretation of feeling, for example, in this case. So the whole idea of that process is you say, okay, so you're stuck with that. You're going to have to live with that for the rest of your life because that process is messed up. That's not true. So what we have found in the process of working with patients over and over again is a process called nerve re-education. So really the re-education process is actually helping the brain to again function the way it's supposed to function, to helping the brain understand things the way it's supposed to understand them, and to help the brain know what that means. Let me use another example. About a little bit over a year ago, I went back to Brazil after nearly 20 years of not being there. And while I was living there 20 years ago, I knew Portuguese quite well. I was able to communicate and understand and carry on conversations. And I don't use Portuguese a lot now. And so my Portuguese had declined significantly. And sometimes the words I would use would be in Spanish instead of Portuguese, because I use a little bit more Spanish in my profession than I would do Portuguese. And so things were getting messed up, things were getting screwed up. And so what I had to do is I had to go through a re-education process to relearn Portuguese. And it was a process. I mean, I literally had to go through and do it over and over and study it and read in Portuguese and listen to Portuguese. And even then, when I get down to Brazil, I was not where I was. And there'd be times when they would say things to me and I would understand them incorrectly and I'd have to readjust and so forth. That's what's going on with the brain. And so the re-education process is a very similar thing, where you're actually walking this nerve through the process over and over again to help it start to get the correct information from the signals that are being sent. So we're getting the nerve to send the signals better, but we're also getting the brain to understand them better through this re-education process. So you're teaching it what's normal. You're teaching what the signals are. And this is done through several different machines, but the point is really the process. If you re-educate the nerve and you re-educate the brain so that they're communicating more like they're supposed to, then it's like me being in Brazil and being able to understand all the conversations that are going on and to be able to respond back correctly so that they can understand me as well. That's what we're doing for the nerves. We're actually trying to help the nerves get re-educated, get to functioning like they're supposed to, so that there's no misinterpretation, there's no misunderstanding, and we're helping create those correct loops, the correct communication pathways between the brain and the peripheral nerves so that you get normal sensation. But the concern is that if you don't stop the damage that's happening to the nerves, it will regress and you may have to redo this. So this is Dr. Grant Gibson, and this is your Neuropathy Nugget day 232. And the idea is to help re-educate the nerves and re-educate the brain so that the signals that you are getting and the information that's being passed back is completely correct. This is Dr. Grant Gibson.